The good news this week is that Pope Francis is already in the Vatican. He has been discharged from the hospital, and that means that the doctors have considered that the worst of the post-operative period is over. I repeat, he is in the Vatican. We must continue praying for his complete recovery. This week it's also been known the data of the Catholic Church in Germany in the year 2020. There is not much news, it's more of the same. In the year 2020, 221,000 Catholics left voluntarily. They officially apostatized from their church. More or less 25 Catholics a day. If you add to that those who have died partly because of the epidemic, and that there have been very few baptisms, more than 400,000, the German Catholic has lost more than 400,000 members. 46 every hour. Every hour, 46 people cease to be Catholics in Germany. Why? The bishops of that country keep insisting that the solution is to break with tradition and become more and more liberal. That is their formula. It is of no use that they are watching what is happening with the Lutheran Church, which is even more liberal than what they pretend, and which is in an even more intense crisis than the Catholic Church. They have their model of church, and they do not mind being reduced to the minimum as long as they reach that model, which they also want to export to the rest of the universal church. Of course, they will try not to break up officially because a schism would deprive them, such are the agreements between the German state and the Holy See, a schism would deprive them of their religious tax, which is a kind of revolutionary tax, and then they would run out of money. They want to do what they want to do, go to a Protestant Catholic church, but still call it Catholic. However, the big news this week has been the publication of a Motu Proprio by Pope Francis, Traditionis Custodes, which repeals the previous Motu Proprio of Pope Benedict XVI, Summorum Pontificum, which allowed the use of the so-called extraordinary form of the Roman Rite. That extraordinary form was the Tridentine Missal adapted by St. John the 23rd. With the Summorum Pontificum of Benedict XVI, it was allowed, for example, in the parishes, or at least that in the parishes some masses were according to the Tridentine Missal in Latin. It was also allowed that the priests who wished could celebrate in Latin following the Tridentine Mass. Now, with the new Motu Proprio of Pope Francis, all this is suppressed. No priest who is ordained from now on, says the new Motu Proprio, no priest will be able to celebrate Mass according to the Tridentine Missal without the express permission of his bishop, nor will he be able to celebrate it privately. That bishop to whom the priest asks permission to celebrate that Mass will have to consult the Vatican to give it. No more parishes will be able to erect it using the Tridentine extraordinary form. And those that have had masses according to the extraordinary form up to now will have to consult again to see if they are allowed to do so. Pope Francis alleges in the letter accompanying the Motu Proprio Traditionis Custodes that the intention of both St. John Paul II and Benedict XVI to allow the use of the rite of the Tridentine Missal has been distorted because the objective, says Pope Francis, was to favor unity in the Church, allowing those who had left with Lefebvre or wanted to live with Lefebvre not to live but to remain in the Catholic Church and to continue to participate in the Holy Mass in Latin. That objective, which is what motivated the Summorum Pontificum of Benedict XVI, Pope Francis says that not only has not been fulfilled, but the result has been just the opposite, because the Pope notes that among at least many of those who seek the Latin Mass and follow the Missal of Trent, there is a rejection of the Second Vatican Council, which they consider to have betrayed the tradition of the Church and consider themselves to be the true Church. To put an end to this, Pope Francis says that from now on there is only one form of the Roman Rite, and also that the Trent Missal, which was previously called and allowed to be used as an extraordinary form of the Roman Rite, all of this is now finished, and only those who were celebrating it, those who were using it, reviewed case by case whether or not they have permission to continue using it, will be able to continue doing so. Well, it seems to me that it is obvious that some people are not going to like it, and that in fact there has already been and will be much more in the coming days a very strong reaction against this Motu Proprio of Pope Francis. But even among those who accept the Second Vatican Council and who have no problem in celebrating the Mass according to the Roman Rite in the form considered ordinary and from now on considered the only one, even among many of them there is a question: why is there so much firmness with those who seek the celebration of the Mass according to the Missal of Trent? Why so much firmness with those who, according to the Pope, consider themselves the true Church, and instead so much passivity with those others who are committing real and very serious liturgical abuses, as for example the blessing of homosexual couples that has been expressly forbidden by the Vatican, and they have done them publicly. They have televised them and nothing has happened to them. Or the distribution of the Eucharist to Protestants, also publicly, manifestly also forbidden, and nothing has happened to them either. So without this implying at all a rejection of the Second Vatican Council and a feeling of being the superior church, the true church, I repeat, they question themselves. Why is there so much harshness with some and so much passivity and permissiveness with the others who also consider themselves the true church? Some say that the true church is in the past, and others say that the true church is in the future, but each one considers that theirs is the true church. Why so much firmness with some and so much passivity with others? And they also wonder if it is not precisely the passivity with these that justifies the return or the desire to return to the past that the others have. Pope Francis has published this Motu Proprio. I repeat, I am sure that in the coming days this will give a lot to talk about and will be a source of tensions and problems. The Pope has done it consciously, he says, seeking the unity of the Church. The unity of the Church is an extraordinary treasure. The Pope wants the unity of the Church. I ask for prayers. I ask for prayers so that there really is unity in the Church, and so that this does not provoke just the opposite, greater division. Bishop Snyder said a few days ago that if this that has happened, this new Motu Proprio, which has been rumored for a long time, if this finally happened, many of those who followed the Latin Mass would go to the Lefebvrians. I don't know. Again, I repeat, the Pope seeks unity. Let us pray that this unity comes about and does not increase the division, which is already bad enough. Until next week, God willing.